So coding challenge review, React upper beginner. So first of all, we got a question with two assertions where we are expected to evaluate something. So we got a component called a welcome. Can anyone tell me how many properties the welcome component receives? Two, correct, the first and the last name of the user, right? So first of all, what we do, that's shallow. That's a method on React testing, as we'll maybe see on the next month. That's a way to say, hey, I want to play with that component, so please compile it somehow, and then we'll take some actions. So we compile somehow the welcome component, and then welcome.text means, hey, give me the text of the component, the text that the component returns. So long story short, if the component receives the last name, we will display welcome Mr. last name. If, however, the component receives just the first name, we'll say welcome and then first name. Yeah, that's pretty much the structure of the question. So on the right hand side, that's pretty cool because we got the if else structure already defined. So the only thing we need to do is just to play a bit with the content that the component returns. So welcome Mr. props of the last name, I think, and then if I don't have the last name, welcome props first name, and unless I type anything wrong, any typo, I think that should be it. Here we go, we got confetti time. So that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions? All right, let's improve the structure of the test. So first of all, let's talk again about this structuring, guys. How you remember this structuring? Can anyone tell me what should I type on the first line to avoid typing props all the time? Yep. Does the order matter, guys? Can we type first name, comma, last name, or last name, comma, first name? Will it make any difference? No, it's an object, so the order is completely relevant, yeah? However, I think from a human point of view, I think first and then last may sound a bit, I don't know, more natural, maybe? I don't know. All right, and then I don't want to type an if else. So, well, obviously, first of all, let's get rid of props. So let's get rid of everything, right? And let's evaluate it to make sure that it still works. So if we did something wrong, oh, you see, now it doesn't work. Props is not defined. Why? Because I forgot to remove props dot on line number 2. Yeah. So if you remove the props, you make sure you remove it everywhere in order to get confetti. All right. What else? How would you improve it even further, guys? Well, what's the name of that technique? What? Sorry, Vicky. What you said? Ternary operator. All right, so ternary operator. So with the ternary operator, return what? Can anyone help Vicky? Last name, then what else? Mm-hmm. All right. What else? Mm-hmm. And welcome person, right? The second div, like that. So wait a minute. Like that. Guys, what do you think about the break line strategy here? The second div, so that's the second div. Yep. The first div. What? Yep. That's correct, guys. That's correct. I feel very annoyed, to be honest, when developers do that, right? It feels, I don't know. It feels like something absolutely trivial, which is an if else, is getting really complicated to read to me, right? So make sure, guys, when you get a ternary operator, that the both conditions are, you know, indented in the same way. Yeah, as we're doing here. Cool. So let's see if it works. Fantastic. Confetti time. Any elegance warnings? Where? Oh, correct. At the end of line number 4, right? That's correct. And now, is there anything else we could change here to simplify the exercise? Ah, that's a great point, Lauren. So we're using a div. Why a div? I mean, is the exercise opinionated? I love that word. Opinionated about the structure of your HTML? No, it's not, right? It's just checking the text. That means, hey, the content the user receives is welcome Mr. last name or welcome first name. Yeah? But the exercise doesn't really care about whether we use div, label. Yeah, will that work, guys? Yeah, that should work, right? There you go. We still get confetti, right? Because in reality, who cares, right? The exercise ignores the structure of the HTML. So Lauren was suggesting to do something like that. What else, Lauren? What happens if we don't put the $sign before the opening curly brace? You're right, Lauren. Welcome, Mr. So it's hard coding. Yeah. Why is hard coding it? Because unless we use any HTML code, do you see any HTML code here, guys? No, there is no HTML code, right? So we are not doing anything with HTML. We're just using JavaScript. So because that's purely JavaScript code, this is what we call, does anyone remember the name of this technique? Oh, sorry, guys. Yes, string interpolation, or to be more precise, template literals. Yeah. So, according to template literals, we need to add a $sign before the curly brace. You see, so it's two different types of markup language. In one hand, we got React with HTML, and on the other hand, we got JavaScript with template literals. Yeah? And that, of course, still should work, as you can see, because of the confetti. Any questions? Go for it. Hmm. Hmm. No, not really, Max, not really. So React is smart enough to display content to the user. If you don't use any divs, that's fine. React will just display the text without any surrounding tag. Yeah? Anything else, guys? No? All right, so let's move to question number 2. Display details of US presidents. I think, guys, we solved the question on Friday, but anyway, let's have a look again. So once again, first thing is try to understand the expectations, the assertions. Yeah? So on the assertions side, so we first of all compile. I'm not a big fan of using the word compile because that's not true, strictly speaking. It's just, I don't know, we just building the React component. Yeah, so we build the React component president with two props, first and last name, and then and I got a question for you. Can anyone tell me what the bloody hell that find structure that line means essentially? Class name. So yes, so we are looking for an element with a class name called first name. In other words, do we need in this occasion to use HTML tags? Yes, in this case we need, because React is opinionated. React is trying to find HTML elements. It's trying to find an HTML element with a class name first name, and it's trying to find an HTML element with a class name last name. Yeah? So we cannot ignore HTML in this exercise. So two HTML elements. So first of all, the class first name, and then whatever, div, we close it, and then if I copy it, and then I paste it again, last name, and then we set first name, let me show it again, first name, Bill, whatever, so first name, Bill, and then last name, what's the last name of Bill? Clinton, fantastic. So would that work? That's correct. So guys, the exercise is giving you the personal details about the president. However, we are ignoring that information, right? Because we are hard coding the name of one of the presidents. So what should I type here? It's a good point. Now you can tell me, Lauren. All right. That's correct, Lauren. And anyone apart from Lauren can tell me what should I type here? That's correct. Probably the last name. Will this work? Why not? That's correct, guys. Remember, in HTML, you do type class. However, because that's React, we should type class name instead. Anything else? Close it. Where? Here? Yeah. 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 We need to open the tag. That's correct, Vicky. That's correct. So will this work? All right. Let's run it. That's correct. It works. And now, as usual, the next question is there any elegance warnings? Anything like that? Like that? Like that? All right. So, yeah, go for it, Vicky. That's like that. That's interesting. Why you want the parentheses here, Vicky? Well, no, it's not performance related. I think it's a good idea to add the parentheses because of a reason. But the thing is, so you take the action, you took the first part of the action, but you didn't complete. Can anyone tell Vicky why is this actually a good idea to use the parentheses here? Yeah, but readability of what? The thing is, what we need to change, Elena? That's correct. That's absolutely brilliant, Elena. The idea of the parentheses is to move things around like that. Yeah? So you use parentheses and then you can move everything to a new line. Why? Because, guys, that code is more readable. I open a div tag. Oh, again, sorry, guys. I open a div tag and I close it. You see the ruler. So the opening and the close div tag are perfectly aligned. If I, however, move it to how it was before, do you agree with me, guys? That feels a bit less readable because the closing div tag is not aligned with the opening div tag. And now my question is, can we just get rid of the parentheses? Are they necessary? Will that work? Why not? Yeah, cool. But so you are right. Yeah. Technically speaking, that has nothing to do with React. That's about the way JavaScript works, guys. And I know very few people knows that, but it is illegal. It is illegal to add a break line on the return statement. So it is illegal to cut nothing here. Or in other words, no, you can do it. You can do it if you want. However, that will return nothing. That will return undefined. Yeah. So you always need to type something on the right-hand side of return. What do we need to type? Well, as I told you a few times already, parentheses don't hurt. So if you type the parentheses, then you have the freedom to put your HTML stuff in a new line. Any further improvements that you will introduce here? The structuring, fantastic. So you tell me. That's correct. Elena, first name, and then last name. So now we get rid of props. All right, so let's see if it works. Cool, it works. It works, guys. So do you have any final questions? Lorraine, Elijah. All right. Oh, cool. All right. So then let's, unless you got any further questions, let's move to the third one. Display a list of Formula One world champions. That's interesting. I think that's a new one, right? I don't think we covered that one on the last week. And it's interesting because tomorrow's afternoon workshop is literally about building something like that. Yeah. So it's literally about learning how to display a list of elements. Yeah? So how many props the world champions component receives? 3. Guys, there is an easy way to check whether you are right or wrong when talking about props. How many props that the component receives? If you think it's 3, then the next question you should ask yourself is, all right, tell me the name of these 3 props. What's the name of the? You see, it's impossible. It doesn't make sense. You cannot give me the name of each prop because that's an object. However, if you believe it's 1, you can easily give me the name of the prop. Yeah, drivers. So yes, we got one property, which is drivers. What type of data drivers is, by the way? An array within an object. That's not correct. Drivers is an array. Just that. I get your point. You believe that's an object because it's surrounded by curly braces. However, this is just because that's the way React works. Remember, guys, in React, even though I have to admit that's a bit confusing, to me, curly braces is like German. Guys, do you speak any German? Yeah. So if you speak a little bit of German, you know that German is a very complicated language, but it is logical. It's complex, but logical. So React is the same when talking about curly braces and many other things. It's sometimes a bit complex. However, it's just a bunch of rules. You just need to know, right? So what are the rules? You use curly braces every time you want to use JavaScript inside. So it's an array JavaScript. Yes, an array is just a JavaScript data structure. So then you surround it with curly braces. So we got 3 world champions in this particular case, and then let's try to understand, as we did before, the semantics of the question. So find label. And look, guys, pay attention to the naming conventions because I think they are brilliant in this particular example. Yeah, if I read world champion.find label, I may be thinking, all right, so there is a single label on the exercise. However, look, it's written in plural. Let labels. So this is telling me implicitly that my component may have multiple labels. How many? 2. Why 2? I don't know. I'm unable to tell you why 2 because I got 3 drivers. So why 2 labels? But if you pay attention, essentially the exercise is aiming to display the list of drivers who became world champions at some point. Yeah? That's why, even though the component receives 3 drivers, an array with 3 objects, the output is going to be 2 labels because we are going to filter out the world champions. So do you guys at least understand what the goal of the exercise is? Yeah, that's correct. Max. And of course, we could have multiple world champions. So this is going to be tomorrow's workshop, actually. Yeah. So tomorrow we'll combine what we learned yesterday about using map with a React application, how to use it as part of a React application. And you can get a preview, a teaser about how are we going to do it in here, right? So the way it works is, look, you got props.drivers filter. So first of all, we want to keep only the drivers that are world champion. And then once we got only the world champion drivers, then we are gonna display them using map. So map will receive an array of objects, drivers with name and whatever, and it will return for each driver, for each object, it will return a piece of HTML with some information attached to it. So tomorrow we'll analyze with more detail that particular example, yeah, because that's essentially going to be the scope of the workshop. For the time being, can anyone tell me? See, imagine that I could add a breakpoint on line number 7. Can anyone tell me how many times the code will stop on line number 7 in the first case, in the first use case scenario? Yeah. I want you to tell me how many times the debugger will stop on line number 7 according to this data. Why 3? Twice. Oh, that's interesting. Twice or thrice. 2 times or 3 times. And why? That's a really good point, Lauren. So Lauren is right. Look, it's not 3, it's twice. Why? Yes, you are right. How many drivers we got? We got 3 drivers. However, let's pay attention to line number 5. Oh, we are moving away. We are removing from the list exactly the drivers who are not a world champion. How many drivers are not a world champion? Well, just the second one. Yeah, the second one. So, because the second driver is not a world champion, we remove it from the list. So then, at this stage of the journey, line number 6, how many drivers we have left? Only 2, right? So that's why the exercise is expecting you to display only 2 labels instead of 3. All right, so what type of data driver is? An array. Is it an array or is it an object? Is correct. That's an object, guys. So drivers is an array, but because we are using map, as we learned yesterday, it will refer to each individual element of the array. So on the first iteration, that will be the driver variable. On the second iteration, that will be the value of the driver variable. Okay? So it's going to be an object. And what do we want to display? I don't know. Let's scroll down a bit. We just want to display the name of each driver. So can anyone tell me what should I write here? driver.name. That's interesting. That's very interesting indeed. All right, this is gonna work. We'll talk about that in a second. First of all, let's see if it works. And then look, we got confetti time. So far so good, right? So that solves the problem. However, I'm sure you notice that if you submit this code, you get a warning. And as Vicky said, the warning talks about something called key. And what the hell the key is? We'll talk about that tomorrow. The key is just a convention in React. Every time you use map, you are expected to add an attribute called key on the root element of your component. Yeah. So key. And what's the value of the key? Whatever you want. You can type whatever you want, as far as whatever you type here remains unique, remains individual for each item. So could I write hello? Is that a valid key? Why not, Elena? That's correct. This is an invalid key because if I got two drivers, they will share the same key. And the key needs to be unique. Can I use, for instance, driver.name? Is that a valid key? I think that should be okay because the name of the drivers is unique. You see? So that works as a key. That works as a key. Once again, guys, this is just a convention. So you just need to do it, right? So whenever you have you're using map, you have to add an attribute called key with something unique. That's just the convention. Any questions? That's not correct. That's not correct. I'll tell you something. It may work. It may work. I'm not against that. However, if you do that and you check your HTML will look something like that. Label key equals object. So even though React may be able to understand that from the generated HTML point of view, that will look very weird. That will look very weird. So don't use objects as keys. Don't do that. Keys need to be strings, numbers, yeah, something that can be read easily, yeah, but not objects. So that should be driver.name instead. Any questions? Can we improve it? Can we improve this exercise somehow? Okay, how can we destructure it? Like that? What do you think, guys? Will that work? Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, here you go. That's correct. It should be drivers. So the name obviously matters. Yeah. So let's see if it works. Brilliant. It remains valid. Can we destructure anything else? What happened on line number 6? We got an object called driver, but we don't really care about the whole object. We just care about a single property called name. So can anyone see how can we destructure that bit? Yeah. You here to do what? No, that's not correct. That's not correct because of a reason. What type of data drivers is? It's an array. You're trying to destructure it as it was an object. So that's, you're mixing things here. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. I'll show you guys. I'll show you. You get a driver here, right? On line number 6. So instead of using driver, you can do, that's the same thing. You inspect the contents of the driver and you just get the name. Yep. So you can do that. Just bear in mind something. Bear in mind something. Whenever you destructure an argument like this one, by definition in JavaScript, you have to surround it. Oh, sorry, with parentheses. Yeah, that's the only little but important detail. Yeah, we have to surround it with parentheses. But now, can anyone tell me what else should they do in this exercise? Remove .name. Yeah, that's correct. You see? So now the code becomes even simpler. Can I, maybe, you know, I'll tell you something. Maybe I can even move everything to the one line, you see? So the code gets even simpler. Can I destructure line number, the argument on line number 5? Can anyone figure out? Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. I'm not 100% sure if in this particular case now the code is more or less readable. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's a bit personal, yeah? Because some of you may prefer to have the word driver written here because that may give you some semantics, some context about what the hell are you doing, right? That's a bit personal. I'm not going to discuss, yes, this is objectively more readable or less readable. No. But at least I'm presenting you different coding styles, different coding alternatives. And then it's up to you to choose the one that satisfies your appetite the most. But that's correct, yeah? So that's the way you can destructure an object pass as an argument. So if we evaluate it, oh, I did something wrong. Guys. So let's, I don't know, I'm honest with you. Oh, right. So look, I forgot, as I think Lauren told me, but I forgot to remove driver on the right-hand side because we don't have the word driver anymore as we are destructuring it, right? And then as you can see, it still works. So, questions? Now, I have, I'm going to share that on Slack because there is a way to simplify that even more. You can save, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 lines. You can simplify that code quite a lot. So you got it on Slack. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. But if you play with it and if you tell me how can I simplify this exercise even more, I will give you a couple of points on the board challenge of the week. So, question number 4. I think we solved that question already on Friday, right? So, film score. You know, the questions are randomly selected from the backlog, from the training. However, sometimes, you know, out of coincidence, some questions could be repeated. So, film score, that's a component. How many props the film score component receives? Hello? 2, that's correct, the title and the score, right? So once again, guys, is the exercise opinionated about the structure of your HTML? Not at all, right? There are no references about classes, attributes, selectors. No, just the text. So probably that means that we can simplify the exercise quite a lot. Actually, let's do that straight away. Rather than building the long way and then refactoring it, let's try to build the best solution possible from scratch. Remember, this component receives 2 arguments, title and score. So can anyone tell me what's the first thing you'll do? Title and score, or score and title. That's correct, Lauren. So that's the first thing. And now, anyone apart from Lauren, can anyone tell me what should I write next? What should I type next? Return Yeah, tab it, yeah, indent it. Break line, yeah. Yeah. Okay, semicolon, a colon. All right, thank you, Elena. Anyone apart from Lauren and Elena can continue, please? Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Thank you, Max. Anyone apart from Lauren, Max, and Elena? Break line. Excellent. Like that, Aaron? Like that? Cool. Guys, that's absolutely beautiful. I think it's really great to see the way you structure it. Yeah? You see, if condition, then return something. Else, if condition, then return something. Else, return something else. Yeah? That's probably the easiest way to solve the problem. Will that work? Probably. Let's have a look. Any, yeah, that works. Fantastic. Any elegance warnings? That's correct, Laura. Semicolon on line 6, and then if we run it, the solution is literally perfect. Technically speaking, you could be tempted to write everything in one line, and you may argue, yeah, but you know the line is short enough. We are saving some space on the screen. But to me, that's wrong, guys. That feels wrong to me. Yes, you are writing everything in one line, but you know lines of code are very cheap, right? So what's the point of saving lines of code if then what we get back is something way less readable? You agree on that? That's way less readable, guys. I don't really know what the hell is that unless I really break it down, right? So keep it simple, break the lines. You see how much indentation can help you. Yeah. Any questions? No? All right. So let's move to the last one. Question number 5. What is it about? Okay, Premier League fixtures. So interestingly enough, the majority of the exercises on React Training are somehow JavaScript driven. It's all about dealing with JavaScript algorithms, map, filter, destructuring, whatever. In this particular occasion, there is very little to do with JavaScript. The complexity of the exercise is about understanding the structure of the HTML. Yeah? So this is all about writing HTML code. So first things first. The component is called Premier League fixtures. There is nothing to do with props, data. Yeah, it's just HTML. So first line, Premier League fixtures.find.fixtures. So that's the first thing. Yeah. So we are expected to have an HTML element with a class name. Pay attention to the dot symbol. Class name fixtures. We got it there already. Cool, fantastic. So we got it there. So let's leave it like that because I'm sure we'll have to write something inside of it. So what's next? Let's pay attention to the next line. Look, guys, fixtures. So we are referring to that element, to that HTML element, dot find fixture. In other words, can I do something like that? Well, is that exactly, Aaron? Exactly. The fixture is inside of fixtures. Fixtures.find. So we are referring to that element, and then I want to find something inside of it. That's why we need to move it inside. Yeah, obviously with the appropriate indentation. And then what? And then it says fixtures in plural to have length 1. So we are going to have a single list of fixtures, and then likewise fixture in singular to have length 1. So one element with class name fixtures, one element with class name fixtures. So far, can you see any elegance warning? Like what? Oh, oh yes, that's right. I didn't notice that. Yeah, so that's correct. Whenever that happens, I like to reset the indentation, and then I can safely indent it pressing the tab key, and now that's perfectly aligned. Any other smelly thing you can see? Ah, ah, interesting. Single or double? Which one? Why double? Perfect. Brilliant. That's it. Brilliant. You got the yo. How much? How much you want to make? Yes. Brilliant. Take it. That's correct, guys. I mean, I'm not. I'll do something. On React, we are using single quotes often, and that's not right. That's not right. But at least, if you are wrong, please be consistently wrong. Yeah? If you're using single quotes, use single quotes forever. Yeah, what it doesn't make any sense is to mix styles with no reason. Yeah, so single quotes wrong, but at least be consistent. Ideally, double quotes. Yeah. All right, so let's move on. What else? At the bottom we said, all right, now look, pay attention again. Fixture in singular dot find team1 to be Tottenham. Yeah? So we are expected to add a new HTML element inside of the fixture with a class name team1 and the text Tottenham. So let's do that. So div class name equal team1. Let's close the div, and then I put Tottenham inside of it. And likewise, we need inside of fixture again another element called team2 with class name team2 and the team name Southampton. So I'm gonna actually copy and paste it. So I got the sorry guys, I got the team1 and I got the team2 with Southampton. Yeah. And anything else? Yes, eventually, inside the fixture again, we are expected to have another element with class name result and the value 3.1. So I'm going to add an eventual HTML element, class name result 3.1, and then I close the div. Can I use, guys, instead of divs, could I use labels, for instance? Will it work? Yeah, the exercise is not opinionated about what sort of HTML tags you should use, right? So we can do whatever we want. All right, so should that work? I don't know. Let's figure it out. Yes, that works. What do you think, guys? Any questions? Oh, you see that the eventual code is simpler than other questions because there is no props, no data. It's just a bunch of HTML tags. However, the complexity in this particular exercise is about understanding how the bloody hell that structure works. Because if you fail, if you move something, if I put, for instance, result outside of the fixture, it won't work anymore, right? So it's important to be accurate, creating the nested structure of HTML elements. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. So do you have any final comments, any final thoughts? No? All right, so that was it from my side. On Friday, we'll run a JavaScript session. So yeah, that was it from my side, guys. If you need anything, I'm on Slack. Thank you very much and see you later.